His arms felt like they were wrapped around his chest, bound in some sort of self-inflicted, interminable bear hug. He looked down. What was he wearing? Was that a straitjacket? Impossible. "Diane?" he called, his voice a hoarse whisper. He tried to swallow but couldn't. His mouth was as dry as parchment. He tried again. "Diane? Can you get me a glass of water, please?" He looked around the bedroom for his wife. Wait, he'd already established this was not his bedroom. He tried to sit up, but the straitjacket, yes, it really was a straitjacket, prevented him from doing so. Cursing, he rolled onto his stomach. He turned his head to the side, pressed his cheek against the floor to get the leverage he needed to arch his ass into the air, and then worked himself into a kneeling position. From there, getting to his feet was manageable, even without the use of his arms. The head rush hit as soon as he was vertical, but it subsided relatively quickly. The vertigo did not. He stumbled to the door and peered through the tiny square glass window into the dimly lit corridor beyond. "Hey!" he shouted. "Is anybody out there?" No response came. The only noise was the monotonous, unsympathetic buzz of the fluorescent light fixture overhead. "Help!" he shouted. "Somebody help me! Somebody help me! Is anybody out there? Can anybody hear me?" A woman shrieked. "Diane? Diane, is that you? Do they have you too?" he called, but the woman's shriek turned into a maniacal laugh, and then he knew that creature was not his wife. More people began to stir somewhere along the corridor. A cacophony of sounds erupted, shouting and sobbing, banging and screaming. Will suddenly and desperately wished that he could cover his ears. The hall lights flipped on and the ruckus instantly subsided. He heard the sound of a door slamming closed, or maybe open, and then footsteps. He craned his neck to try to see down the corridor. The footsteps were coming closer, multiple pairs now, hard soles clicking on linoleum tile. Someone stopped in front of his door, but instead of a face in his window, a flashlight beam greeted him. "Back away from the door," a voice said. When he didn't move, the voice repeated the command, baritone and angry. "I said back away from the door, patient." Patient? Confused and blinded by the light, he took a step backward. The vertigo kicked in, and he tripped on his heel. Without his arms to break his fall, he hit the ground hard. The landing hurt, but not nearly as badly as it should have. And that's when he realized that the floor was padded. "Oh, God, I'm in a padded cell." He looked up at the square window, and the flashlight beam found his face again. He squinted but refused to look away. "What is your name?" the voice asked. "What?" he said, confused. "We don't have time for games. Tell me your name." "Will Barnes. I'm an officer in the United States Air Force," he stammered. The beam stayed fixed on his face for another few antagonizing seconds, and then clicked off. "He's awake," he heard another voice say. "Call the colonel." He waited for hours, and still they did not remove the straitjacket. They did not answer his questions. They left him alone in his padded cell until dawn's rays illuminated the hallway outside his room. Sometime after sunrise, they moved him to another room, this one without padded walls, but nearly as Spartan. They served him a breakfast of scrambled eggs, bacon, and a glass of milk, fed to him by a nurse named Shirley, as if he were an infant. When he asked for a cup of coffee, her eyebrows arched with surprise. "Coffee?" she repeated.